Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I believe, in my opinion, is the nicest zodiac sign. Nice may be subjective to some people, and first I want to say it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant, of course. But nice, again, could be very subjective, or at least a little bit. I'm just talking about which sign do I believe is the most, it's the pleasant, amiable, being agreeable, amenable. Though that's really what I'm saying. Friendly, though, that's what I'm talking about as far as nice goes. Now, as far as Aries, starting off with Aries. Now, Aries, it's hard for me to say that they're the nicest of the zodiac signs because they could be somewhat acerbic and acrimonious. They're, as far as provocation goes, of course, they could be very easy to provoke. I understand they're not vengeful or vindictive. They don't hold a grudge for a protracted period, but they seem to be rather disgruntled an awful lot. And to me, it'd be very hard for me to say that they'd be the nicest zodiac sign. Sadly, I see Aries in negative manifestation. Sometimes they just will be outspoken for the sake of being outspoken, and there might not even always be just cause unless they're just in a bad mood sometimes. But anyway, so it's hard for me to say that Aries would be the nicest of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Taurus. Well, Taurus has a very benign expression, and even though they can be rather placid and calm and very styled, they're not ones to become overly animated. They're generally not going, even though could be benign in their expression a lot, they're not ones that are just constantly overly friendly. Taurus, of course, can have a very stubborn and obstinate streak, and if you arouse their stubbornness, they'll be at a point where they're not going to show a lot of that friendliness. Taurus is very reserved, and they can be friendly, but I see them just being mainly friendly with the people that their few little select friends and associates, people that they may work with. But because of the lack of the outgoingness with Taurus, it's just hard for me to say they'd be the nicest of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Gemini. Well, Gemini certainly is a viable candidate for being the nicest of the zodiac signs. Gemini has the proponents astrologically. They're mutable and air. Mutable energy is very adaptable and pliable, and air energy, of course, could be very friendly and amicable. So I think Gemini certainly could be a viable candidate as far as the nicest zodiac sign. Gemini could be very vivacious, very animated. They are ones that they are like, to me, Gemini is not only very adaptable, but they're very friendly as well. And it's sad to see a Gemini person become despondent or melancholy, because you see that wind coming right out of their sails like there's no tomorrow, because they are just so effervescent and lively. They just seem like they're just constantly full of a lot of spirit and life. But I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it's Gemini or not. Now, going to the zodiac sign Cancer. Well, Cancer, they could be so temperamental, moody, and fickle. You could see, a different person virtually every time that moon changes in terms of general mood and temperament. And don't get me wrong, Cancer has certain tenacious qualities. They will stick with a project with a lot of dedication, devotion, often unequivocal love, unconditional love for what they're doing. But they're just ones that they're generally not overly animated or enthusiastic. Cancer is often very introverted, and they stay to themselves an awful lot. I should know something about this, being a Cancer sun with a Taurus ascendant. But so they really don't open themselves up enough to really have others see their friendliness. But that being said, the fact that their moods can shift very quickly, it's hard for me to say that they would be the nicest of the zodiac sign, because nicest can correspond a lot with friendliness as well. So anyway, going to Leo. Well, Leo can be, some may see them as a candidate for this, but the thing about Leo is, okay, I understand, because they're ruled by the sun. They often have a sunny disposition and vibrant energy. They're often very vibrant and often can be inspire others through a lot of their positive energy, and try to bring their near inexorable energy over to others, and take people that are almost lifeless and bring them to life. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're the nicest of the zodiac signs, because Leo, I mean, they could be Leo could be very disputatious, very argumentative. Nice can correlate with agreeableness and friendliness. So it's really hard for me to say that Leo would be the most really the nicest of the zodiac signs. They often, I mean, Leos have very dominant energy, and whether it's trying to dominate a conversation, or getting in trouble, or clamoring for that attention, where they are, a lot of people may not see that as being very nice. So I would say that Leo, I don't see them as being the nicest of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Virgo. Well, Virgo certainly is a sign. I mean, they're given, I mean, it's a mutable sign, and they're very, and Leos are, I mean, sorry, Virgo is often very self-effacing, and they often will, others will often take credit for what it is they're doing. So they can be a candidate for it. But Virgo, I mean, given it's an earth sign, they have a little sense of melancholy and some despondency, and they're not, they're really, as far as, I mean, being an earth sign, they have a certain serious element to them. I think the earth, when I look at the elements in astrology, it seems like the earth signs tend to have the dispositions that are the most serious of them, of the zodiac, of the all the elements with the zodiac signs on average. But also too, Virgo is also, to me, in a negative manifestation, they can be very judgmental and critical, more so, I believe, than the other signs on average. And they're just not, it's hard for me to say they would be the nicest of the zodiac signs. So I would say no to Virgo as far as that goes. Now, going to Libra. Well, Libra certainly can be a viable candidate as far as being a the most being the friendly the nicest zodiac sign, because Libra is, of course, I mean, they're being an air sign, they could be very affable, very friendly. They have they're about appeasing others. They're often about their compromise and negotiation, and they don't like strife or contentious situations. So they often will try to be nice to try to make up and reconcile a situation. But the fact with Libra is they are, I mean, and they're very relationship oriented, and they will, they really like to go out and be able to ingratiate themselves with others. And they are, I mean, they could definitely be a candidate because due to their charm, though sometimes it can be superficial, I think, due to their charm, they are, well, they can be at least one of the nicest zodiac signs. And I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it is them or not. Now, going to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio can certainly be, I mean, will certainly not be, I don't think, a candidate to be the nicest zodiac sign, because Scorpio, negative manifestation, they can be very vengeful and vindictive, and so some cases I think can be very ruthless, actually. I mean, they really, I mean, but I'm not saying those Scorpio people are like that. Scorpio, I mean, I know they have an indomitable spirit. There's a lot of good characteristics connected with them, but the tendency with them in a lot of times in their life is to be bitter a lot, whether it's through jealousy or it's through being wanting to exact vengeance or what have you, getting somebody back for a wrongdoing that was committed toward them or what have you. So it's hard for me to say that Scorpio would be the nicest of the zodiac signs. So anyway, so I would not say Scorpio is the nicest of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius certainly can be a viable candidate for them. I mean, Sagittarius is very exuberant and expansive and has a lot of ebullient energy. They're often very effervescent. They try to see the positive in a lot of situations. They have a lot of expansive energy. But Sagittarius, being a fire sign, again, could be, I mean, they could be very fiery as far as their temperament goes, and they could be very blunt and outspoken, even downright tactless, sometimes to the point of demoralizing others. So it's really hard. I mean, Sagittarius could qualify, but I think they just miss it by a little bit due to the fact that they speak their veritable truth, and they may not care whether it hurts somebody or not. So I wouldn't say Sagittarius would be the nicest of the zodiac signs. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm back. But anyway, now going to Capricorn. Well, Capricorn, of course, I mean, they have a very serious and stern disposition. Capricorn can be seen by some as just downright callous and sometimes very undemonstrative. They're not ones that will smile a lot. They often can even be depressive and melancholy. And I mean, it's not to say that Capricorn doesn't have a whimsical or capricious side, because I believe they do, but they don't show it, generally speaking, very often. And I think they often will take things more to heart, more seriously than the average, than the other zodiac signs on average. They might not be as sensitive as Cancer or say Pisces, but they are, or even Scorpio, but they do take things often very seriously, and they're hard to joke with it. Just and if their self-protective nature strongly, I think a lot of that, the fact they're so dominated by their business and their career, it's hard for me to say they'd be the nicest of the zodiac signs. Now going to Aquarius. Well, speaking of viable candidates, Aquarius certainly can be one, because Aquarius, though it's a fixed sign, they could be very benevolent and often could be philanthropists and humanitarian. They often can be very selfless and try to do, and this could be seen and perceived, of course, as being nice to others through selfless acts. I mean, the thing about and really their selflessness can be, you think about this, that Aquarius being the opposite sign of Leo, and selfless can be about, doing things, but not necessarily getting the notoriety and recognition for them, which is, I mean, but Leo often will do things for those accolades, for those recognition and adulation, what have you. But Aquarius is often, they are a fixed sign. So they can, they do have, their tendency from time to time to be rather obstinate, and they have their, they could be very unwavering and immutable at times. Aquarius, of course, is very paradoxical. They are ones that could be very humane, very friendly, and amicable. But at the same time, they could be very fixed in what they, in their viewpoints, and this could be something that causes, certain arguments with others, and sometimes their unpredictable or behavior, and sometimes even erratic or sporadic behavior can exasperate others. So it's really Aquarius is not always the most reliable too, and people don't always see that as being nice. So I think Aquarius can just fall short by a little bit of being the nicest zodiac sign. Now going to Pisces. Well, Pisces can be a candidate given that they are a mutable sign. They're very malleable, though they often are chameleon-like and will blend in with that particular environment that they may be residing in or visiting at the time. But that is not always good, because Pisces, sometimes will mimic or replicate the negative behavior of the company they keep. And keep in mind, as I've stated in previous videos, and I subscribe to the theory, and I concur with it. Some may agree, some may disagree, but I see Pisces as the amalgamation of the previous 11 zodiac signs. So they have a little bit, I see them as the other signs in them. So it's really hard for me to say they'd be the nicest of the signs, because they have, the ones in there that are, some friendly and other signs that are not as friendly in that mix. But again, I mean, Pisces could be very self-effacing, self-sacrificing. They could be seen as one of the nicest of the signs. They could be very altruistic. They often will try to say things in a way where they don't really hurt others because they understand about sensitivity. So, but anyway, getting to the sign I believe is the nicest of the zodiac signs. I do believe it is. I'm going to reveal it now and unveil. I believe it is Gemini. Because again, Gemini is not, I mean, they have the two proponents to me astrologically that I'm looking at in terms of them being the nicest of the zodiac signs, in my opinion. The fact that it's an air sign. Air signs could be known for their friendliness, their amicable nature, being very affable and friendly and cheerful. And then you have the fact they're mutable, and mutable, of course, suggests adaptability, pliability. So that's really the main reason I see them as the nicest on average of the zodiac signs. Gemini can be, I mean, I understand they can be contradictory in their nature. They do have some moodiness to them, but Gemini is very often very lighthearted about things. They're not ones that hold generally, they're really not apt to hold malice or grudges. They're against others, and not to say that Gemini can't be a little bit vindictive from time to time. If somebody has done something to them, and Gemini wants to get them back, they'll get them back, and a lot of times in a way you would never expect, and you might not even know what even happened to you till it may be a day or two later that you figured out what Gemini may have done, because they always seem to have that trick up their sleeves. But the thing about Gemini is that they are so vivacious, so lively and animated, and their versatility is incomparable. I think is unsurpassed in the zodiac. They could do they could really be do things for almost anybody, because the fact they have that versatile nature, and they can they are able to do a lot of different things, whether it's with dexterity and use with the hands, fixing vehicles often, or refrigeration, mechanics, something. They are often there to do the things that people need them to do, because of their ability to do many different things too. So, and people can see this as being very nice. So I'm going to go with Gemini. It's what I believe is the nicest of the zodiac signs. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.